last left off, Neris discovered Neris is in the future somewhere, working on a spell to prevent everything that has come to pass, leading to a dreadful occurrence from occurring. The Fishman shall we say, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, has been prepping his troops for a final strike. Alton, we could generously call it a mercy killing to someone die, but like someone on death's door. But that's a very Alton biased way of putting it. Really killed a person on life support. Janice fought his brother and got told off by his father. Loren caused an arcane elemental explosion on the beach, and Zexor spoke with his troops on the eve of battle. So, I think I'm going to go back to the dice determining what order we go in. It's a bit more loose this time because there's not one or two that I want to leave till the end. It can be anyone. Great. I lied. There is one person I want to leave until at least a couple in, and that's the one the dice tried to throw at me. 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, you spent some time speaking with your troops, and in that time, you have prepared them in a way for what is to come, and you are bracing yourselves collectively, waiting for what is to come. And this one is a bit complicated for even Fantasy Grounds from a mechanical point of view if we were to play it completely by the book, by the grid. So we're going to do this one Theater of the Mind. Can I get everyone to roll initiative? Those of you that aren't 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, using the alternative stat block that I provided. So you all feel at this point the movement in the water, as if something is rushing towards you. You see there are another 6 of your compatriots rushing towards you ahead of this figure in the distance, this hulking mass. And as it comes into view, you see the figure of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, a dread creature that you have been dealing with, that has been trying to break its way through to the prime material plane, and that you, as guardians of the barriers between planes here, the plane of water, are sworn to prevent this from ever occurring. So, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, Fishman, you have one initiative, so what would you like to do?
All right. Fishman, looking around, and from his chats that he had over the rest period that we had, is well aware that whilst we are quite experienced and trained in combat, has noticed that we are dwindled in numbers, and will say, "You need not permission from me. Act on your initiative. Do what you must." And then, if he can he swim forwards, please? And he's going to use an ability, Summon Water Weird.
Yeah.
So, he can magically summon 1d4 water weirds, which I have rolled 4.
Okay.
The summoned weirds appear in an unoccupied space within 60 feet. So he would like to have them forwards in front of his men.
Yeah.
And they will act immediately after 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. So that's first, and that was as a bonus action. How far away is 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧?
We at this stage, about 120 feet.
And that is as far as I got for preparing what I wanted to do. My apologies. But okay, this is 60 feet. Okay, cool. Can he get within 60 feet, please?
I believe he can. Actually, what is your movement?
Please hold. only 30 feet, so no,
30
he
feet.
won't be doing that.
No. You could,
Good.
you could hold your action if you wanted to.
That's exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So if he can, if he can move close with his movement, 30 feet of swim speed, and then he's going to prepare a spell when he gets in within 60 feet. Would you like to know the spell?
Yes, please. Actually, that'll be enough because, well, I mean, I would like to know the spell as it is 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧's go, and he charges forward, and you can see this energy blistering and glowing around his mouth. I will allow you your held action first.
All right. So as 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 prepared, he kind of braced himself almost as if his feet and hands were going forwards. And the water around his hands began to get quite frosty. Things work weird underwater with ice. And then as 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 gets within range, he's going to cast Cone of Cold, if he can, please.
Okay.
So he needs to do a Constitution saving throw, which I believe he should have plenty of. I'm not entirely sure what the DC will be, though, unfortunately.
Is there
Found it. Yeah, so it needs to beat sorry, Darby. I believe a 22.
I mean, he handily does that with a 31 total.
Yeah. No, that's fair. They take half as much damage.
Is there any effect other than the damage?
A blast of cold air erupts from your hands. Each creature in a 60-foot cone must make a Constitution saving throw. The creature takes half as much damage on a successful one.
Okay.
A creature killed by this has a second effect, but that's not what we're going for here.
So don't worry about rolling, as 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 completely shrugs off your Cone of Cold, as he is immune to cold damage.
There we go. Of course he is. I don't actually, me as Jake, the player, don't think he attacked 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 at all that last combat we had with him either, so I never found that out. Whoops. Yeah.
Yeah, and in response, you hear his voice roar out, "Let's see if I can do better," as he erupts this steaming cone of energy 90 foot out from him. Can I get everyone to roll me a Constitution saving throw?
Since we have stat blocks, is that just our normal like con score?
Yeah, so that would be the con score for the shore stalkers.
Unless it has a different thing for saves, which mine did not.
Yeah.
17.
17. Okay. 16.
9 for 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
4 was it?
4 for Faraz.
Yeah.
11 for Dragax.
Mitch?
6 for 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
No one succeeded, as you each take 30 points of fire damage. The other Tritons who were fleeing or were rushing ahead of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 are instantly evaporated from the steam and heat, leaving the 6 of you as the only ones remaining. And that is 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧's go.
I did also forget about the water weirds.
Okay. I'm guessing they probably wouldn't have been able to do much on
The save front?
On the save, I was thinking the first turn, they'd maybe be able to get into position unless you were holding. Yeah.
That's
but save front, you can try.
I'm just gonna make that they got hit.
Yeah.
They are still there though.
Yes.
Notably invisible though in water, just a heads up.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. So next in the initiative is Eddie. You'll have to forgive me, as I am probably not going to remember all these smaller side characters' names.
So Koresh, she sneers and she spits into the water, which this puff of fine bubbles just coated with this diffusing blood shoots out, and she looks to Osheron with just this disdain in her eyes, as if she was blaming him for the damage that has been caused to her rather than this great beast. And how far away is I can't remember the name.
𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
Yeah.
Probably about 60 feet at this point.
Okay.
60, 70 feet.
I think she, seeing the damage that it has caused and the other allies evaporated, I think she scurries, not necessarily any closer to 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, but rather scurries off to the side to hide near or under some like rocks or some coral or something that might be around. And as she does, she's going to use a poison spine and just shoot it out towards 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. Now, because it's at 60 feet, it will be at disadvantage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So the lower is 19.
19?
She rolled really well.
Yeah. That will unfortunately miss. So it would probably make contact, but bounces impotently off the shell of this hulking creature.
Yeah, excellent. And she's going to use Nimble Escape to hide as a bonus action. I'm assuming you'll want to stealth.
Yes, please.
That is a 21.
21. Okay. Noted. So the next in line is Laura, your Triton.
All right. So, in a similar way, but without any of the venom the metaphorical venom pointed towards their captain, Chucks crouches down, hissing with the searing steam that has been shot out towards us from this dragon turtle, and but it is not swayed, and it just roars, "The dragon turtle must be stopped! We will protect the barrier!" And in a similar way, it will sort of crawl itself closer. It's like the fins at the side of its head and along its back, raising as the spines sort of jut out, and it will also try another poison spine attack, as Koresh did, and I will roll to hit. Would that still be a disadvantage, or would I be within range? It's got a movement of like 30 feet, I think.
Probably still, still. No, yeah. If you'd probably just be within range.
Okay, so flat roll. Alas, that is a 2 for 7 or total.
Yeah.
So the spines just shoot out in every which way as the water is still completely rippling, and even though we are professionals, this is our job, this is our life, we have perhaps never faced a foe as big and as fearsome as this, and instead Chucks just growls again and hunches back down, and hide action as well.
All right, Zoe, your Triton.
Dragax sees his comrades fail to hit this mighty creature with their poison spines, and he pulls back out his underwater cigar that he had stubbed out and relights it, and just takes a long drag as the skin from his fins is disintegrating in the water from getting 30 points of damage in one hit, and he just says almost to himself, "For the barrier," and he will run forward 30 feet wielding his mighty sword, and he will hold his action for when 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 gets closer to do a big old stabby stab.
Okay, next, Mitch, your Triton.
So, 𝗔𝗦𝗧, I think, seeing his comrades in the group beforehand just get utterly disintegrated. There is that moment of fear and trepidation of, is this what my life is to be? Is this how it ends? And I think he's going to look over at those who have stood by his side and at the captain, the man who he's followed. And I think he just kind of nods to himself, and still incredibly fearful, he's kind of solidified by the fact that his friends and his companions are standing up for themselves. And he will also draw his blade and swim forward 30 feet and hold an action for when an enemy gets within range.
Okay, next. Joe, your Triton.
Yeah, so Fares is hit quite hard by this blast, as is everyone else. Just a few more scars for a body that is littered with all these scars from the battles and the years of service he's had. But he's not frightened. He draws his blade and says, "You know what? I don't think I can die. I've been in so many fights. I'm pretty much immortal, I think. I don't think even this could get me. Yeah. Nah, one last fight, this is all, and I'm going home. All right. Try and take me!" And he charges forwards and he goes into a rage, which does nothing because he's not a barbarian. He holds his action and prepares to strike.
All right. So next is Jake, Sharon the Fishman. Sharon the Fishman.
Things aren't too good.
No.
No. Fishman or Osharan will take a quick moment to look back and see the damage that has been caused. And with a bite of his lip, he kind of comes to a place of resolution as he just swims forward straight at 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 if he can.
Okay.
Because I believe he should be within some form of range to do some form of melee attack.
Yeah.
Because as he has realized, he can only do cold damage. There is no other way to not do cold damage than to do some form of melee attack.
Yeah.
He has a cone of cold, ray of frost, a multi-attack, which all the damage is cold, and can do wave touch, which is cold. He can also protect himself and then do cold damage with frigid shield.
I would say you probably have a blade that's capable of doing the same amount of slashing damage as your wave touch attack.
All right. If I can, I would very much like to do
that. That was a slight oversight on my part in assigning you the stat.
I don't mind. I think it's funny.
But
I think it's over prepared to a fault. Oh. Yeah. All right. So what would that be then? That is a dirty 20 to hit.
Dirty 20. That does not hit. Again, it scratches at the shell but does nothing.
But then hopefully straight behind Fishman, 4 large ripples kind of come up towards the head of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. And judging by the fact that a 20 doesn't hit, I don't believe that their dirty 20 will hit either. As I guess ripples of water just bash against the face of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, not really dealing any damage, more of an annoyance.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧's go again. Gonna roll to see if he gets his breath weapon back. He does not. So he is going to. I think he's going to maneuver himself. He's going to maneuver himself up and over you, Osharan, and say, and he's going to do a multi-attack. But those who prepared melee attacks will get to attempt to strike first.
Time to kill this creature.
It's you and me and Forrest, I guess he's also here.
No.
Does a spicy 12 hit?
No.
I was so prepared to hit. I pre-rolled all my damage. I really thought I was going to do something here.
What about a 7?
No.
It's you.
Got a 23.
You need a murder
Nice.
this.
Yeah. There's a couple of you that just ineffectually hit at like plates of the shell. One of them just manages to get his blade up within like one of the soft spots. Doing how much damage?
That is 8 piercing damage and 12 poison damage.
Okay, so for a total of 20 damage, not too bad, all told.
𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 is the happiest he's ever been. He is single-handedly going to win this fight for his captain.
You know what? Promoted.
It's potentially not long-lived, as you have very much irritated 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, and he looks at where this puny little blade has dared to pierce his skin and chomps at you. It does a 26 hit.
That is double my armor class.
You take 21 points of piercing damage and 19 points of lightning damage as you are just... Actually, don't even take the piercing damage. You are swallowed whole and fried as you go down You are swallowed whole and fried as you go down 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧's gullet. As for the other attacks from this multi-attack, Zoe and Joe, your tritons are going to get a claw to the face each, as if 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 is just backing away. So,
Chucks! No!
for Zoe, your one, it is a 35.
Yeah, that hits me.
For Joe, it's just a 20. There's a 20 hit. Yep. Okay. So, sorry for your Triton. They are flung away into the distance, taking 16 points of. It says slashing here, but I reckon bludgeoning is a bit more appropriate. And just flying off into the distance, slamming down into the sea floor. Well, no, there isn't really a sea floor. Just the friction of all the water passing over you is just too much force for you to deal with. While, Joe, your Triton is just impaled by a claw as they take 16 points of piercing damage.
I'm immortal! And I'm unconscious.
Dragax Forest 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧!
As I sink through I whisper across the waves, tell Koresh, she was always kind of weird, as I fucking die.
Okay. Hey, your Triton.
So, from behind this stone coral, these black-tipped claws just curl around it as these fish-like eyes just peer over.
They're all dying, and it's his fault.
Who is left of her allies alive?
Yeah, it's Lawrence Triton and Assurin.
And
There are 3 of you. Yeah, there are 3 of you and some elementals.
Hey, Laura, highs or lows?
Highs. Do it anyway.
She looks with no real care at Oshirin and at this beast that Oshirin and is it Chucks is it Chucks? Yeah. That Oshirin and Chucks are fighting. And I think she's going to swim up to where Chucks is, and she's going to grasp at him with her spindly old fingers and push him back and be like, and pull her sword out and be like, I think she attempts to flank with Oshirin and attack the fella, big boy, with her multi-attack.
So roll to hit.
The first one definitely isn't actually, because flanking, would there be advantage?
Sure.
Oh, advantage, awesome. The first one definitely doesn't hit. The second one will either. Yeah, no, the second one doesn't either. All of them were below a 20, so for all 4 dice rolls. So she attempts to kind of hit at the creature, and I think as she does, she hisses at Oshirin,
Your men are dwindling. We need action now.
nothing is returned. Fishman, you can see, is just intensely focused on with almost stone cold eyes. Didn't even wait.
and seeing seeing that, she turns again to Chucks and is like,
Go, survive this.
All right, Laura, your Triton.
So Chuck's witnessing all this. Again, their like spines sort of raised, their stance feral, crouched, hunched, is almost, and then their fins spread out as Koresh grabs them, warns them, and then surges forward. And it looks and watches as 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, their beloved captain, continues to stand ground. And Chucks looks between these two incredible commanders, leaders of their force that have been so sworn to protect the barrier. And they go, the barrier must be preserved. And they turn and they dash away.
Okay. All right. So back to the top of initiative with the fishman, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
Yeah, he's not really taking much notice of what's going around. Or maybe he is. Just on the outside, it doesn't look it. And he will just continue to go into his frenzy as he again goes in for a melee attack if he can. I'm not entirely sure what 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 said to him, because unfortunately your microphone did cut out a little bit. But I think it was something along the lines of, your men will die.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, along those lines. It doesn't like it when I growl.
And then, yeah, as he goes for his swings, he'll say under his breath, a sacrifice we have all made, a sacrifice that was sworn, a sacrifice we will uphold. Hopefully for each attack he does, because I'm going to multi-attack this time.
Okay.
So let's do this again. Oh, okay. So that is, the first one was a 19, which doesn't hit. However, the second one was a 27, which I believe does hit.
What was it again? Sorry? 27 suddenly hits.
Excellent. I'm sorry, 25. My
25
bad.
still hits.
I can't do maths. All right, and that will do, tell you in just a second, sorry, mean slashing damage.
Yep.
I'm going to put it as.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just continues. And the water weirds will follow soon after, and they will, let's see what they get. Again, just whip around his face. Most of them do nothing. However, one of them does get a natural 20.
Okay. So the natural 20 would hit.
Yeah, doesn't do much damage, and just for simplicity, I'm just going to read the default damage, which is 13 bludgeoning.
Okay.
As they wildly whip around.
All right. So next is 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. So does 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 get breath weapon back? Yeah, he does. So he's gonna line his head up to try to get. He can probably maneuver himself to get all three by swimming up and getting all within the scope. Can I get everyone to roll me a Constitution saving throw?
12 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
20.
20 and
17.
I would say 20 is enough. Although, that all being said, I think I know what folks' hit points are at. And it's still 29 points of fire damage, 15 for the saved, and I believe that leaves just 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 and potentially the weirds.
Yeah, it turns out we all have resistance, so that's cool and fun.
For a bit of flavoring, as she is kind of pushed back and dying, Koresh's hand grasps at the forearm of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, and she looks at him and she says,
It won't survive this, so that it does not win.
and she dies.
And sorry, could you just repeat the first part of that? It didn't come through for me, sorry.
It won't survive this, so it does not win.
And I guess as the grip loosens, again, Fishman does not pay. Or give a downward glance.
Yeah. And as this combat becomes more of a standoff between 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 and 𝗔𝗔𝗦𝗧, that's where we're going to leave this scene for now. Nearest, after spending some time in research, you've yet to complete your spell, but you have confidence that you're a good way in the progress towards it. What would you like to do?
So I'm a ways into the construction of this spell that I think will work.
Yes.
I'm in a safe house, is it?
Yeah.
Or something that's converted into a safe house? Okay. Are there components or anything that I might think I need for this spell, or is there something that I'm missing?
There is a component. Roll me an Arcana check with advantage.
29.
29. So you need the following three things. A diamond worth 5,000 gold pieces. The ends of a extra planar beach, and you think those are going to be easy enough to work out with your experience. However, the one thing that you are going to need some effort with is that you need an orrery worth at least 1,000 gold. It can be worth more, but it's be worth at least 1,000 gold.
Do I have any idea on where I might be able to find an orrery, or at least any mentionings of an orrery?
Roll me a history check.
13.
13. You have vague recollections of Janice once mentioning something about an orrery.
Okay. And you mentioned before Janice was in this safe house.
Yes.
And I don't know where my next step will be. The diamond worth 5,000 gold is but a trifle in lands like these in a time of almost complete annihilation. Such things don't have any value anymore.
There is a stash of such diamonds kept among other common material components should they be needed.
Sands of an extra planar beach shouldn't be too difficult to find. Traveling the plains is not easy to do, but definitely not.
And it's definitely easier than it once was prior to the breakdown of the barrier between worlds and the barrier of the divine and the materials.
So that will just leave this orrery. And as I've got good ideas on how to find the first two, I must enlist the help of my good friend Janice. And as Neris will ascend from his chamber where I would assume he's sort of locked himself up for a while, I think he'll go over to wherever Janice might be found and try and locate him.
So you locate Janice, his shark head, hardly the most difficult thing to spot in a crowded room, even if you didn't know his habits and his tendency to provide entertainment of sorts as a comfort to the children.
Okay. I think, Neris will sort of watch for a while, not wanting to intrude on, the joy of these children, and then is going to probably just try and motion over to Janice, just if he has a moment to come over.
Laura, you're free to portray a more, slightly more grizzled, older Janice, scarred by the war of the gods.
So yeah, I suppose this version of Janice, grizzled, covered in many, many more scars, a shark that's been used as a battering ram time and time and time again. Almost sort of like, again, I would say like with a tense watchfulness, but he always has this tense watchfulness. He's always had this tense watchfulness for him ever since he has been aboard the Polaris, ever since he's been aboard your ship, ever since he's been aboard your crew. And so even as he tries to keep these children orphaned from the war that has befallen everyone because of what we did and what we didn't do, the sort of those golden eyes out of the only beams of light from the middle of this shark face do flick over momentarily to you as you approach. And he's like, well, that's enough for now. See what games you can play, and I will choose the winner in a moment. And then this creature stands up to its full height again, almost 7 feet tall. Monstrous, horrendous. It has been months and months and months since you have last seen any kind of elven face the face that he once wore. And he turns to his full height and addresses you. Captain? Captain? Director? I don't know, hang on. This will be director, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. There are slight differences in the timeline, but director is probably the most accurate.
Actually, yeah.
No, there wouldn't be slight differences in the timeline because it always... Time travel's weird, folks.
Doing my head in. Director, what do you wish of me?
Janice, you are very good with the children.
Well, it's nice. You've got to do what you can for those that are left, right?
Indeed, yes. I was wondering if you were able to answer some questions for me.
He turns again to look at the children who have begun sort of play making like little knights and swords, but just with miming. And he looks for like one more moment, then he turns and nods. Of course.
I seem to recall a conversation we had, I think many years ago, regarding an object that you had discovered or heard of, something called an orrery. Do you recall this?
He blinks. Again, it is very unsettling on the face of a shark, but it is something that is not unusual, something that is normal. Well, nothing about this is normal, but it's as normal as can be now. Yes, I remember that. Back with the Sin Seekers, if you can remember them.
I do, yes. A trifling pirate group, yes.
Something like that. We did dig up an orrery at one point. They're those things with those little planetary playthings, aren't they?
Correct, a map of the solar system.
That's right. It was dug somewhere, hidden somewhere, I believe. That's all I quite can remember. Why are you seeking it? Is it required? Has there been a new development? How are the frontline forces going? Or are you just buying us more time?
On this line of questioning, Neris does look over to the closer tables, just sort of to see if they're having their own conversations or whether they're listening in. And I think, as a precaution, Neris is just going to sort of turn and just start to walk back down the hallway as he continues to talk.
Janice will follow.
Everyone is doing what they can.
Of course.
There is complications, of course. Fighting titans, shoring up defenses. This is not what anyone was trained for. And I think now that he's sort of out of eye-shot and earshot, his shoulders do slump a little bit, and you can tell there is a level of tiredness in his face that you've not seen for a very long time. This is a man who is putting all the time that he has into this one final project that has to work. I know that I have said this before, but I might, if there was just a bit more time, we might be able to stop this.
A bit more time would be good for us all.
I've been working on something, and I've been keeping the details from a lot of you.
You've had time to make secrets. It doesn't matter. Is it something that will help?
I hope.
Best we can do is hope.
What if there was better, though? Do you ever think back on failures? Think back on what you would do differently if you had the chance again?
The shark man sort of breaks into this long, toothy grin, but none of it is pleased. He just nods. Of course, many a time, a different world would be a better one, and perhaps all the choices I made to get to this point, if I had made different ones, perhaps we wouldn't be here. Perhaps they'd all be alive. But as it stands, yes, I think we all have things we wish we hadn't done, and some we wish we did.
I'm meddling in magics that should not be meddled with, but we are at a point where I don't think the rules apply anymore.
You are correct in that one, old friend.
I am.
With the gods running riot, the fabric of the world unending itself, you are correct. You could not be more correct. There is no magic that is limited here now.
If there was a way to... I know I said I would not do this, but I wish to ask for your permission. May I need to know everything there is to know about this orrery that you found.
Yes.
Do I have your permission to learn what you learned, visit the sites that you saw?
It takes a moment for recognition to grow in this creature's face, and you might notice the imperceptible tremor of his hands, which have gotten worse over the months. And he sort of turns his strange little shark-like head to the side for a moment, and then his eyes almost flash with understanding. Yes, if it will help, then yes, you have my permission, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧.
Then cast your mind back to when you first discovered this item. And we're just going to try and cast Detect Thoughts. And we're going to push through to that second level where we probe as deeply as we possibly can without causing pain to his friend.
So, as you delve in with your target in mind within Janice's memory, you see that day on the beach, trudging through into the wilderness, searching out the site of this lost artifact. You see the digging as this orrery is unearthed from the ground, and you see it being returned to the ship, and the cloaked figure of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 stating that it would go somewhere safe, that it would go home. That is all that there is on the orrery.
Sorry, that's tripped me out. Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't really know where to go from here. Okay. You do not recall where this island you went to was, do you?
I do not. I just remember clearly once and once again. I just remember the words home. That was where it was being taken. If I could give you more, I could. I have given you as much as that already.
Is there any understanding of who that cloaked figure was and what home could mean?
Roll me an insight check.
Did Neris have any? No, that's right.
You would know who that figure is by now. This timeline up to your point is still the same. Up to the point that player character Neris is at, the timelines are still the same. They might have diverged between prior to this arc and where Neris of this arc is at, but up until everything in the present of this timeline, everything is the same. There might be a divergence point somewhere in between, but everything we have played through has happened.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Time travel's insane, actually.
Okay. What was I doing? I got distracted. Insight. No, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. So, you realize, this cloaked figure, this was 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧, this was you, that you would have put it somewhere that to you was home. It is up to you to interpret that how you will, because you don't know anything else for certain. But for the meantime, we'll move on to Loren. So, where we left off, you were still on the beach after, in the immediate aftermath of the spell going wrong.
Yes.
And I believe Iamir was unconscious recently, just fallen back unconscious.
He'd just awoken And Loren said they were gonna have to tell her dad about this.
That's right.
If he immediately passed out again, that's a valid and fair reaction to having to tell a parent about this.
Yeah, let's say he did. In the immediate aftermath of that, he has passed out again. He's barely holding on to consciousness at the moment, so...
No. Come on. Wake up. And she, gives his face a little slap.
Oh, you know.
Sorry. I heard something. Dad taught me about concussions. You gotta stay awake.
All right.
Is anything broken?
I don't think so. Anything broken of yours?
I can't see out of me eye, but I think that's I'm trying not to think about it, honestly, Ayamir. And then she her little 13-year-old self just kind of vibrates all over with that just adrenaline of when your body just can't come down from a situation that's just occurring. And she kind of physically sits on her hands and tries to breathe. And she's like, I don't know if I should be going in water with the eye. I don't know if it's gone. I really don't want to think about if my eye is gone. Can you message Dad?
Right. Okay. And you see him concentrate for a moment. He's like, there's no connection.
What?
There's nothing.
No, that's not right. Try again.
Nothing.
What do you mean? Nothing? You've been doing that spell since you were a baby. Come on. And she unsits on one of her hands and just smacks him on the shoulder again.
No. There's something about that ritual. I think you brought me something wrong, Loren.
Me? You made this spell?
I found it, but
You found it?
These things are so reliant on those components, and that was your job, sourcing the components.
I brought you the right components, Ayamir. If you gave me a bad list, that's not my fault.
I gave you the list that was exactly as it was written out in the spell book.
All right, then I got them. I don't know. This isn't my fault. Shell,
powder. You didn't skimp out on the pearls at all, did you?
No, we're Triton. Why would I skimp out on pearls?
Where'd you get them from?
I got them from the market.
Where'd you get them from, Loren?
Where I went swimming and I found them. You said they had to be of a certain value, so I went swimming and I found them and I got them valued. Didn't sell them, but I valued them. That's the same thing.
Who valued them, Loren?
What do you mean? That's how it works.
Who did you ask? That's not how it works.
It is how just Dad. I asked Dad.
Always proud of his little girl.
As he should be.
You don't think a parent might exaggerate the worth of his daughter's findings?
I don't know, Ayamir. Do you think your parents over-exaggerate how good you are at magic if this is the result?
All I know is you've given me some dodgy pearls, and now I can't cast magic.
No, this is her. This is her all over again. She's done something. It's not me, it's her.
Well, I think if it's her, then... and I can't get rid of her, then I don't think I can talk. I don't think we should be spending time around each other until she's gone.
What? No, don't be stupid. You're being stupid because your spell went
dangerous.
wrong. You did it wrong. She is dangerous. I know that.
It's dangerous, and there's nothing that I can do about it. The less now that I don't have magic.
You don't know if you don't have magic or not. We just need to contact someone.
It's a fetching cantrip, and I can't do it.
That doesn't mean it. Just cast something now. Then just prove it.
And he lifts up a hand, and nothing.
Well, now you're just lying. You're just lying to prove a point.
Why would I do that?
I don't know, Ayamir. I'm not dangerous. She is. That's the whole point.
Until you're separated, there's no practical difference.
No, I can't. We can fix this.
Let me know when you have a solution. And he walks back to the village.
No, don't. I am here. And she goes to follow him and slips on the glass and just stumbles to her knees and just watches him walk away. No. That's not how this was meant to go. It's not how any of this was meant to go. And then one good eye cries. And she's just a kid on the beach, hurt. And she waits for her dad to find her.
Janice. Oh. I lost your name. Jupiter, that is right. Jupiter. After your encounter, shall we say, with your father, you have been left to your own devices for a time.
All right. So Jupiter, in the future a captain named Janice, but for now a young man pacing around in his chambers. Grand chambers, beautifully carved dark wooden doorways and ceiling, lavishly wallpapered deep emerald green. Jupiter, too tall for this room, too tall for this city, paces and paces and paces like a shark circling a drowning man. The whisper of thunder cracks throughout the room, the sky darkening outside as if by chance, and Jupiter punches the wall as he comes to a stop. And he just stands there with his fist, which has made a hairline crack along the beautiful wallpaper of there. And he just stands there and breathes heavily. And he again, almost like he's not talking to himself, but he's choking out bits of an argument to someone else. Like he's trying to weave his own story, but he can't piece it together right. And he just spits out things like, decide what I'm doing, make a decision, behave better. Father knows best. Gallia knows when to think. All you do is rush in. What will everyone think? What will the people of 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 think, hey? Make a decision by dinner time. He stands and he takes a deep breath. And again, he's already about 6 feet tall by this point. He is still growing. He's tall and broad. And he turns and he looks at his lavish room. He looks at the sparse books, the tables, the little self-made punching bag he's made. And he looks out beyond that, out the window where the sky is darkened as the time weaves on. And he thinks. He looks out to the lands of 𝗖𝗧𝗦𝗧, of this beautiful village, this city, this bastion beside a land that will one day become almost foreign to him. And he sets his jaw with his regular-looking teeth. No, it'll always be too small, and I'm never going to be Duke. So maybe I should weave my own story, to find my own horizon, and be boss somewhere else. And he's like, and it almost like in this stupid rush, this foolhardy rush, he decides that this is the best possible course of action. This is better than having to own up to his father. His father who didn't even admonish him as hard as he was expecting for beating his brother to bloodied, for causing a scene in a city that already has a fragile political status, for doing all the foolhardy, stupid things that he has always done, because he has always thought he knows better. And for this moment, this man who is not even quite yet a man, but an older teenager, decides that this is the best course of action. And so he grabs his things. He doesn't take much. He takes, he bundles up a pack of clothes, wraps it up in a blanket. He ties it strong, ties it tight, throws it over his shoulder. He looks around. He grabs a book, grabs a pen. He can write that sometime. That'll be good. Write a new story. That's got a good ring to it. And he looks back at the cracks in the wall, at the way that it's almost spreading up towards one of the paintings that his family has placed there of his father and his half-brother and the mother and himself. And he just sneers at it. And then opens up the window and he climbs out and manages and starts to stride in almost a hurry, in a way that he's trying to dip in a way that he is confident. He knows how to avoid the guards. He knows how to avoid the servants, and ducks out of the window, strides across the yard, up over the fence, up over the heavy stone fence, and out onto the street. And he begins to walk. And he begins to walk to leave the place that he has grown up in for so long.
Okay. Do you walk with any sort of direction?
I guess, because, Kedathel is quite, heavily forested, I believe, where this location. But Janice has heard of where the sea is. And even if it takes him days, weeks, months, that's where he wants to be. He wants to be as far away as possible from this place. He wants to be somewhere where you can make yourself, make a new life, make a new future for yourself. That's where he wants to be.
And as you make your way through the streets, you notice after a while a young figure observing you with a curiosity.
What's it to you? Gawking at something?
I'm sorry, I wasn't looking. It's just, I was just looking.
Just looking, were you? He leans closer. Slink continues to slink the sack over his shoulder and glares. And who am I? Do you know who I am?
No.
Good. Who are you?
You see this little spindly little teenager, probably 14, 15 years old, in fairly thick cloak, woolen type clothing, is holding this fairly thick tome with what looks like a drawn reptilian eye on it. And as it's starting to get a little bit dark, he's got this big contraption that he's sort of wearing around his waist, which is this big metal beam with a little candle on it. And you can see that in front of the candle there's this thin, hovering layer of water that is just floating there, that is seeming like it's acting as some sort of directional beam for the light. But nevertheless, it does seem to be sort of shaking slightly, like it's very difficult to keep this concentration up. And the figure steps out both with curiosity and seemingly trepidation. Well, my name is Neris.
Neris? That's an unusual name.
Thank you, I think.
Okay. Wizard type are you then?
Well, a little bit, yes. It's. Could you tell from the water? I'm learning. It's nothing. It's actually very difficult, but it's fine.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So what?
No, very grand. I'm just going for a stroll.
You don't look like you're going for a stroll.
Well, what does strolls? Of course, I'm going for a stroll. I'm just, I'm going for a stroll and a little lunch packed for myself. Don't you go for strolls very often? That's just exactly what they look like.
I don't normally go for strolls packed and arguing to myself.
What? Oh, okay. Or I'm just going through a little bit, all right? So I need to go for a walk. And I may never come back. So that's the sort of stroll I'm going on. So that's why that's I don't normally talk to myself, okay?
There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself. I talk to myself all the time. It's never really a problem until you start talking back.
Well, yes. No, I suppose it is. Right. Well, good. Well, you keep doing your wizardy things, and you'll have a great life, I guess.
What's your problem? Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, he looks quite taken aback. I mean, not particularly. It just kind of looks a little bit like, oh. And even though he still has that sort of stroppiness of someone who has decided they're going to run away forever and ever and ever and ever, he stops and he folds his arms, one of them still with the little bundle slung over it. He's like, well, I mean, sorry, I'm normally a little bit more eloquent than this. I've just been here for a very long time, and I think I need to go somewhere else. Because otherwise I'll just always be the me that's here, I suppose, instead of someone truly great. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. So you want to be better than what you are, so you think leaving will work?
Yes, so, will people hold you back? Well, I'm a very great person. I mean, I've saved people from burning buildings and repaired carts at twice the speed of a normal cart repair person, I think. So, and I fought off a wild dog once, so I think I've got I've got what it takes to, really take this far. And, well, sometimes you just need less ties to not hold you back and get you further in life or something like that, I think. Don't take anything I'm saying as advice. You look younger than me, so, this is just, the thing for me.
Well, I'm actually very mature for my age. This book is it's recommended for people much older than me, but I'm still going through it very well.
Oh, that's pretty good. I mean, most of the books I was able to read were for people much younger than me, so you're doing pretty well there, really.
Yes, it's a book for a little boy around my age who finds a magical stone, and the stone turns into a dragon, and he has to go on hijinks with it, and it's fantastic, and I love it.
Oh, well, that is very sweet.
But,
that's good then. You keep up your reading.
But sometimes people can help. Cutting ties can be bad sometimes.
I don't know. You don't know the people that... People that are around me don't really have a great deal of friends here because of reasons. And my family just don't really seem to understand. And it's just sort of feels easier to just go, I guess. I can probably make new friends somewhere else, so I suppose you're right. You do need people sometimes. They just need to be the right people,
Well, I hope you'll find what you're looking for.
It looks a lot less sure about what he's doing, but he looks around, he looks back at the great house that his family live on the hill, and he just nods. He's like, yeah, I hope so. I hope you have a good evening. And Neris. And then he continues to slowly walk along the road out of the village, or the city.
As you do, you see, catching your eyes out towards the port, the ships in the docks. You almost feel a thought bubbling away.
It's perfect.
All right. So 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧 is the morning of the impending attack. You're recently woken, preparing yourself to stand ready with your troops to stand against the enemy. As you awoke this morning, something felt a little off, as if there were a presence missing. Roll me an insight check.
That's a 13.
So with that, you kind of shake it off and think, no. It almost felt for a moment as if the connection with Loomis had been weakened, but no. You shake off that feeling, and it's there. It's in many ways stronger than it ever was as you prepare.
Do not doubt yourself, 𝗖𝗔𝗦𝗧. Just because he left changes nothing.
And after your preparations, you go out of your tents to meet with the troops. Alton, it's been a few days since the incident, and you awaken one morning. And as you're waking, you notice something out of the corner of your eye in the room. Roll me a wisdom saving throw with advantage.
That is... sorry. 14.
14.
Too good.
Okay. So with that, you're aware that there's something fundamentally wrong with this moment. There's something off. You just can't place your finger on it.
I think Luther would probably do an inventory of the room and just the strange organ that he's holding onto, just seeing is this working correctly? Are there any threats in the room? What's happening here?
Roll me an investigation check.
That is 18.
Okay, so you look through the room and everything seems to be in place, and eventually you catch something out of the corner of your eye again, and you're able to react quickly enough to it that you're able to stare at it directly as it skitters underneath the bed. What appeared to be a spider-like creature with, rather than a body in the traditional sense, almost like a brain at the top of it, and the kind of chitinous kind of extension down as it branches off into the large spider or crab-like legs.
Ooh. What? That doesn't look good. Would Luther have any knowledge of what this is?
No idea.
He kind of like looks at the door and back again, wondering whether this is something that he should fetch Ether about, or whether bothering Ether would not be worth it and would be too damaging to him potentially. I'm gonna grab like a pot or something and just kind of prepare to like whack the thing as soon
Okay.
as it looks out. So I'm gonna crouch down, look under the bed, and get prepared to whack.
Okay. So roll. So it rushes out from under the bed towards you. Roll me. Let's do a opposed dexterity check here.
Not Luther's character sheet. So getting Elton's. There we go. Okay, so 30. That's a 15.
15. Okay, so you just beat it out and you whack this thing with the pot that you have. And you suddenly find yourself on the spirited gull. This creature splattered out in front of you. Sand rather than blood flowing from it. Almost like a viscous solution made primarily of sand. Flowing from this brain spider-like creature. And you feel as if you are waking from some sort of slumber or state or something of the like. And that's where we're going to leave it for this week.
Oh, good.
Where am I one?
Oh,
boy. Oof.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you for
Thanks for
listening.
joining us, everyone.
Thanks for listening. See you next week. Let us
See you
know
next time.
what you enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Sweet dreams.
Bye.
Trying to figure out the meaning and the winning categories for a wet t-shirt contest, whether that's more autistic or asexual to do, to try and figure that out.
Look, that's fair.
Maybe equal parts both.
I think with the powers I have at my disposal, I can break down something into a spreadsheet.
Oh yeah, the spreadsheet. You'll have that open.
I'll make it, you upload a photo and it will fill everything out for you. It will give a result either, yes, this is a wet t-shirt, or no, this is not a wet t-shirt. Let's get some AI into this.
For some bizarre reason, in like 5-6 years' time, when we eventually release the official Wyverns and Weirdos source book, there'll be some footnote table
Wet t-shirt
in the back.
mechanics, yeah. Perfect.
I feel like we should go above and beyond with this. I think it should be on the next golden record sent out to space. I want that to be the first thing.
Yeah,
coming
that's
into-
fair.